Confessions of Nat Turner, which you all like to read. He's dead now, but I had the pleasure of reading him. And he talks a lot about that, about the variety of responses to slavery, and also to the wrath of many people who could not understand that there were slaves who defended the plantations during the time when there was a rebellion in 1838 led by Nat Turner. This is an old issue. I don't think we're that far apart on that, Alan, but you get these kinds of behaviors and are quite understandable, and it has nothing to do with African Americans. It has to do with human behavior under stress. They were Jews who cooperated with Nazis. You know, it's the same kind of thing. You know that. I'm thinking of Butch Gallo, when I was.
Rudolph Castle.
Yeah, so you get plenty of things like that on that, but it is fascinating, and you know how. But I do agree with you. There's not a lot of character development. There isn't a lot of character development in anything that he does, because that's not what he's trying to do on the film. You know, in the end, it's a movie, and it is a movement about the need for rebellion and violence. That's why I find that such a fascinating area to fit into a school like this, where we can talk about the Civil War or the Revolutionary War, except for now, for example.
Let me just add one final thing to this in terms of the difference between Tarantino's approach and the approach of Zwick in Glory. Tarantino really stays on the surface. And so I think the most intelligent way to approach would be to do what Alan did, to first look at the intelligence and the contradictions that may not have been Tarantino's intention to present, but really come out in a subtle way simply because of the situational dynamics. And secondly, the contrast between really Brunhilde and Stephen in this film, which may not have been intended either. I don't want to give Tarantino more credit than he deserves. He's not that self-aware and historically aware.
Brunhilde was a love interest. She couldn't be the love interest.
But his instincts are really wonderful.
I have a comment or a question. And let me preface it by saying that I am the descendant of enslaved Africans. And I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with people who survived the race riot of 1921, where 400 blacks in my community were killed by whites, and the whole neighborhood, Greenwood area, was destroyed. And so the people who survived that were my teachers, were the parents of my parents. My mother was a classmate of Django. So I have a perspective about this movie, which is kind of interesting, and the impact in the African American community of witnessing and seeing it. There's something of a cathartic experience for a lot of us to see somebody say, yes, finally, we're going to get back at the people who say, this is a natural thing for people to fight back to somebody who hurts them. But I think there's two things I want to point out, maybe two and a half. One of them about Stephen. You notice that Stephen, before he, during the whole movie, he was walking around like he's on his cane and crippled, and just before he got killed, he stood up, threw that damn cane down, and he says, I'm going to go out like a man. Even though I've been working this system, I know better. So take me as a man, because I'm not going to go like a slave. Okay? That's the half thing. The other point is that one of the things that resonates so much for us is that you saw a black man risk his life, do everything for a black woman. That is rare in movies. Black men are there for the benefit of whites, to help their white compatriots rescue their women and get their money back. All right, but this was one who fought for his woman. And in the white, we have been socialized to believe that that blacks don't love each other. And that there is, you know, you hear so much about the black on black crime, which is absolutely one of the consequences of slavery, for sure. But many people can't fathom the love that does exist and is expressed. And so this was very, very, very powerful for so many people who watch it, in my opinion. And then the last thing is, for questions for you to think about. Can we make a connection between what Django did and Christopher Dorner, the LA cop who went berserk, who saw things that rest would say, oh, that didn't happen. He's on the inside of the LA Police Department. We've known he has this terrible, terrible relationship with the black community. And he turned on them because they turned on him. There are things we will never know, right? But will that dialogue be shut down because he's been killed? And we'll never get to take a look at what were the things that pushed him? What were the things that pushed African Americans in this society? And how do we deal with it? $1 million reward for his capture or information about it. So, what is the connection between Django and Christopher Dorner, who may not have gone, he may have gone nuts, but he may have been driven to go nuts.